So, in the opinion article, it says how one of the common ways to track your health is through wearables with sensors that monitor your heart rate, steps, sleep, stress levels, and etc. And with that, they're usually paired with an app that records all that information so that you can easily access it and see the progress of your well being. That information is useful, especially if you have a goal you want to achieve, but in my experience and in my opinion, unless it's used to track a specific health condition, I think the general public should find a way to balance their intuition whilst monitoring their health. Because I've used my friend's Fitbit to track my sleep, water intake, weight, and a separate app to track my mood. And it was nice to see where I was health wise in the first 2 to 3 weeks of using it. But as a few months passed by, I was stressing myself out when I didn't achieve the right amount of sleep or if I wasn't hitting a certain goal weight. And just looking through the mood app, I saw a decline in my better mood. And the thing is, the when I stopped using the Fitbit, it was and started doing what I felt was right. That was when my mood and myself felt better.
Health technology is a process that has been evolving over the last few decades that affect both the patient and the medical system. It also provides opportunity for many businesses, such as the growing market of health apps and also health technology products such as the Apple Watch, Fitbits, and many other smartwatch. It is true that health technology can save lives by detecting irregular heartbeats that can lead to heart failures or strokes. So health apps can also provide self-tracking fitness by tracking the amount of steps a person has walked a day. So in Mark's perspective, advancement in technology is very helpful in the health field by allowing people to self-track their fitness and also save them from potential health emergency. However, health apps also have consequences such as lowering the person's motivation and self-esteem. For an example, a person who uses health apps might focus way too much on the calories consumed that day instead of the overall fitness goal. So this leads to stress, worries, and eventually quitting the app. So health technology has to be used in the correct way to maximize its health benefits without negative consequences on the person's mentality. While using the health apps, it is important to know that fitness comes with practicing a good lifestyle habit instead of counting on the calories.
Hi, this is Chris. I'm going to talk about an unintended consequence of access to your personal medical data. Um, Last April, police were able to identify and arrest the Golden State Killer. After 40 years, 72-year-old James D'Angelo was arrested. He was arrested in connection with up to 50 rapes and 12 murders over a 10-county area in California between 1974 and 1988. He was a police officer during this period as well. They submitted his DNA profile to online websites such as Ancestry.com and 23andMe. Um, Looking up his genetic background um, allowed them to line him up to publicly available genetic information. Um, the process is controversial, but California law, Prop 69, does allow DNA testing at the early stages of a criminal case. They do warn people if they do not want their DNA used in this way to not submit it to any sites. This is an unintended consequence for his family, but it is also a positive consequence for the victims of his crimes.
All right, what's up, everyone? We'll be talking about the opinion article today. Specifically, we'll be talking about the portion that talks about how the measurement of health can lead to a deeper understanding of biometrics and like our internal selves, but it does so at the cost of us as human beings. Um, there was something that I learned in medical anthropology a couple of years ago, and it's the term medical gaze. So, medical gaze is when a doctor will see a patient and the doctor will only see the patient for their symptoms, just the things that can be quantified. But there's a lot more that play into that. that factor as like a patient. So like you have like how they're feeling, how their family's doing, like what are their emotions and like what are they afraid of, it's like just different things that you can't quantify. And I think those are really important to consider. The article moves on to talk about how if we continue to like digitize health like the way we are now, how do you feel will just be replaced with what are the results, and it will essentially emphasize the medical gaze and say like instead of looking at a patient for like who they are, they'll be like, all right, what are your numbers, like what are your results, like Black Mirror. Lastly, another issue that should be considered is the issue of like the culture that we're in. The culture of technology is great and all, but who can afford it actually? And that's another thing the article talks about is, who's going to be able to afford this technology? Is it the people that truly need it, or is it the people that can just afford it? And I think that's really important to consider. Culture plays a very big role in how people heal in medicine. And there was something that I learned in medical anthropology that essentially goes along the lines of if someone feels culturally and like internally at peace, with their emotions and their like just their overall feelings as a human, they're gonna heal much faster and they're gonna heal better, versus like if they feel like the doctor is just treating them poorly and stuff like that, they're not gonna feel like they healed themselves fully. But those are just things to consider. Thanks for listening, everyone.